Ambassador Atul Keshav, who joins me on India Ascends, he's former Charge d'Affaires at US Embassy in India. He now heads US IBC as the first top voice on the show. So thank you so much for speaking to NDTV, speaking to me. I have to ask you this, that US Ambassador to India made a veiled threat to India after the Russia-India bilateral summit. Is this suggestive of how US now views India? It's a blunt question simply because of the very veiled attack that the American ambassador made at India. Everybody knows that India exercises strategic autonomy.
So I think that getting our relationship to attain its maximum potential is extremely important, not only for India and the United States and for our prosperity and stability, but frankly for the entire world. The U.S. and India are the two great pillars of democracy and prosperity in our respective hemispheres. And we have a relationship that stands completely transformed compared to 25 years ago when I started working on this relationship. If you look at virtually every field of human endeavor, we are intensifying our strategic, economic, and technological collaboration. So while there may be some issues where we have to work to understand each other better, it's crucially important that we get U.S.-India right. And if we do, it'll be good for your people and our people and, frankly, all of the free people of the world. And every now and again, there are going to be issues where the governments have to talk to one another and develop a better understanding.
Yes, governments do need to talk to one another, but veiled attacks probably are not the best way of doing so. This is an election year in the US as well. There's a lot of flux and uncertainty that is happening. How do you see that impacting relationship with India?
Well, it requires work. There have been many issues that have been worked on in a constructive manner between both governments over the years, including some very serious issues, crises even at points. And with a spirit of cooperation and mutual respect, we can work through these things. I'm convinced of it. The American business community and the Indian business community are deeply, deeply invested in the success of one another's countries. And they are employing by the millions in our two countries. And they are doing the cutting-edge technological development. Whatever happens between the business communities can serve as a useful ballast in helping stabilize the relationship between the United States and India and making sure that it is for the well-being of all of our people. But this is where governments have a responsibility to talk to one another, and I know that that is happening all the time between Delhi and Washington. Indeed, you have high-level visits in both directions regularly. And I think with greater understanding of each other's compulsions, there may be a way forward that addresses concerns on both sides. So this is what friends do. They work with one another. And really for the United States and India, it's important that we get it right and that we work together on our differences of opinion as friends.
Ambassador, then let me ask you, how does this flux, that political flux that US is witnessing, impact the business relationship between the two countries?
I would love to see a free trade agreement. Politics in the United States are a little bit challenging on that right now. But we can do things like digital services agreement. We could do mutual recognition of standards, which would really speed up manufacturing in India and investment into India. Remember that American companies represent trillions of dollars of potential investment in India and job creation in India. They have already invested mightily and massively in India. There are probably more than 10 million people working in this country directly for American companies, and they do cutting-edge, world-class stuff. So the technological is really going to be the dimension of forward movement on US-India because you have the skills and the talent, and we have the capital and the know-how. And this is a marriage made in heaven if we can work on all of these domains that fall under the umbrella of the Initiative on Critical and Emerging Technology. I would encourage both governments to be ambitious about potential trade facilitation. The more we can ease friction points for investors in both directions, whether Indian going into America or American going into India, the more we're going to see job creation, prosperity, GDP growth, revenue, tax revenue. And so working on those friction points is very important. And that's been the focus of my meetings here in Delhi with government officials. We engage in constructive, respectful outreach in both governments to reduce the friction points for the happiness and well-being of our people. We're doing our India Ideas Summit on September 12th here in New Delhi, and we'll be talking about that on stage, about what are those points. India has done a great job of addressing ease and speed of doing business. But there are other issues related to level playing field. As I said, some of the frictions in working through investments, taxation issues that also could be worked on. And no country's perfect. Everybody's on a march toward perfection. And we try to point these things out, not in any way to castigate, but to point out things that can actually help India bring in even more money. You know, I was here with my chair of USIBC, the executive vice chairman of NASDAQ, Ed Knight. NASDAQ, as a stock exchange, has $24 trillion of value. It's almost 1/3 of the entire market cap on the planet. And all of those companies have hundreds of billions, if not trillions of dollars of available investment money. And if India can make a smoother path and reduce the pain points, a lot of that money is going to come to India, because India, like America, is a pole of stability, a pole of prosperity, and a pole of democracy in this world.
Okay, what according to you are the highlights of the US-India relationship over the next 18 to 24 months in the wake of all that's happening?
So everything that is happening on the business front that is involving member companies of the US-India Business Council are all in the deep tech, future tech, 21st century domain of human engagement. Artificial intelligence, quantum computing, cybersecurity, outer space exploration, and so much else, defense ties, drone technologies, engine technologies. And I think those things will continue because they're good for the national security of India. They're good for the national security of the United States. And our countries have shared strategic apprehensions that really compel us to work together. So there may be some ups and downs, and I think we have to address some of the issues that impede or slow down the development of trust and confidence on both sides. And that's where the governments have to engage in continued dialogue. But all of these 21st century issues are in the domain of Indian and American companies that are in USIBC. There are a lot of legacy 20th century issues that India does with other countries, but on the 21st century stuff, it's all the United States of America.
Thanks, Ambassador Keshav, for joining us on India Sense.